Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charlton, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and when we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. Some of you may remember who Michelle Beadle is, or who she was, right? Some of you guys may remember her, but for those of you who don't remember who Michelle Beadle is, Michelle Beadle was a former host on ESPN, right? She used to be a staple on the show. She was the co-host of one of the shows called Get Up alongside Jalen Rose and Mike Greenberg. And she also was the co-host on Sports Nation, which is also a show that was on ESPN. I'm not sure if they're currently running it, but I remember her doing her tenure on that show. We're talking about something like 3-4 years ago. That's when really, she used to be there. As I remember her, she was a very charismatic, but also witty television personality, and also she was one of these people that would tell it like it is, or at least tell it the way she saw it, right? If she saw a particular thing, she was not going to hold back her opinions, and she was going to make her feelings known, whether people agreed or disagree with her. And I remember her, if I remember properly, I remember that she was a San Antonio Spurs fan, right? And I think it was about 3-4 years ago, the San Antonio Spurs and Kawhi Leonard were having a falling out. This was when he felt as if he was misdiagnosed by the organization after I think he suffered 2 concurrent injuries in the playoffs, and the second one was against Jaja Pachulia. And I think he felt as if the Spurs medical staff was rushing him back too soon. And then there was a part where, Greg Popovich allegedly had some of his, key players like Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, and others kind of hold a team meeting where they confronted Kawhi Leonard about his injury, all these different things. So Kawhi Leonard at the time was having a fallout with the Spurs. And if I remember properly, she was a San Antonio Spurs fan. So during one of the segments on, I believe it was Get Up, she basically made her feelings known about what she felt about the situation and how she felt about Kawhi Leonard, not only as a player, but as a person. So before we go too far, I'm sure the majority of you probably missed that. Before we go too far, we want to play some of her comments, or her direct comments that she had about Kawhi Leonard, just to give you guys sort of a sense of who Michelle Beadle was. Now, obviously, this isn't this isn't the full picture of her. This is just her, giving her thoughts on this particular issue. So before we go too far, take a listen to some of her comments that she had to say about Kawhi Leonard. Take a listen to that here.
What part of Kawhi Leonard's behavior in the last year, and every story that's come out in the last several weeks, says anything about this dude having any of the qualities that a leader is supposed to have? You don't talk, you don't defend yourself. Now you got stories coming out that you're coming off as an obnoxious diva. You don't want to go play with LeBron because you want to be the top dog. You are the top dog for a team and an organization that has done really well for many, many years, that you don't have the respect and you have the audacity to try to ignore, and you continue to cash those $18 million checks. I'm so over this dude. The city of San Antonio is over this dude. You can go as soon as they get whatever they want for you. But if you think you're just going to walk out of there and get your way because you've thrown this little spoiled hissy fit and become one of the most unlikable characters, I've never seen a heel turn like this in a way that is not enjoyable. Like, you are no longer a person I root for. You are someone who has just shown every quality of a spoiled, entitled person, and you don't even have the strength to speak for yourself. Like, what are you doing with your career?
Your frustration is
It's
valid.
awful.
Now, in that soundbite, you can clearly see that, she didn't hold back. She was very, 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 very direct, with her feelings about the situation and about Kawhi Leonard as a person. So that was sort of an instance there. But she also made her thoughts known about the infamous decision that LeBron James made. We all remember the decision that he made when he was deciding his first free agency move. He had I think he had a segment on, what was it, like a special on ESPN, if I'm not mistaken, where he came out, he made his decision, and ultimately he said he's taking his talents to South Beach. That was something that she didn't like. And apparently, she had some very strong feelings and comments about it. And now, today, just based off of an article that came out, maybe a breaking story rather, that came out less than 24 hours ago, she says, years later now, that she feels as if that LeBron James was the major culprit in getting her fired from ESPN. So what we want to do here, we want to read this article that we got from Sports Illustrated, kind of read some of the things that they had to say, and then come back and give you guys kind of our closing thoughts on this particular matter. So the article starts off, Michelle Beadle says LeBron James tried to have her fired by ESPN. It continues. Michelle Beadle reemerged in sports media with a new podcast for the Athletic, aptly called What Did I Miss with Michelle Beadle. During Friday's episode with Paul Pierce, her former ESPN colleague, the two alleged that LeBron James once tried to have her fired from the network. After holding a televised special called The Decision to Announce His Departure from the Cleveland Cavaliers for the Miami Heat, James caught plenty of flack from people around the sports world, Beadle included. She acknowledged Pierce saying that James tried to have her fired from ESPN and indicated it was because of the things that she said about the decision. She continues, "My stuff with him started off not personal. I made fun of the decision like 400,000 other talking heads did at that time. I think for some reason that was it. It wasn't personal to begin. Obviously now it will always be personal. It is what it is. I'm very comfortable with not liking people." So those were pretty much, those are her comments. Those are her raw thoughts on the whole situation. And apparently, you know, she felt that she got fired. So let me give you guys some of my thoughts. First of all, is it possible that LeBron James possibly got Michelle Beadle fired from ESPN? Absolutely. Absolutely, that's possible. Why? Because there's been many different cases of LeBron James having significant influence over that network, right? Many different cases. I remember even to the point when I think it was during the pandemic, there was a lockdown and LeBron was a host, or guest rather, on a show that Richard Jefferson was on. And Richard Jefferson, if you guys know, was one of LeBron James' former teammates with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And they were going back and forth. And LeBron James basically told Richard Jefferson, the clip is out there, we're not going to look for it. He basically told him, he said, you can never be fired. You can't be fired from ESPN, as long as you're my friend. Right. And at the time, I thought that I was like, what? You have that kind of pull that you can decide whether or not one of your friends can be fired or not, which also means to me that if he felt as if Richard Jefferson can never be fired from ESPN, it also made me believe that he also has the power to influence who gets on ESPN. Maybe Kendrick Perkins or whatever. I don't know this, but that's kind of the inverse of that line of thinking. So you have that. Then there were the comments that Paul Pierce made, where he felt as if that he was being forced to always have to talk about LeBron James, right? Those were his comments, regarding that situation. And, obviously we all know that Paul Pierce no longer works at the network. So those type of situations do exist, right? But the only problem here with this particular one is we don't have any solid proof. That's the only issue. It's basically he versus she, like what he said, her word versus his. And in this case, LeBron hasn't said anything, so essentially just her word. And we don't have any proof, so therefore I can't really verify it. We can just, it's just basically up to you to decide if whether or not you want to believe it or not. So the question really is, to the audience, you guys watching, the question is, do you believe her? Right? Do you believe her accusation that, listen, LeBron got me fired, or not? Do you think, listen, I just think that she's, I just think that maybe she's bitter and she needed somebody to kind of point her anger at, and LeBron James was the best person to do that. So what I want to know from you guys, what do you really think about this situation? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro, wishing you guys an amazing day and catch you guys on the next episode.